Do we go on now?
Yes, we'll go on now. Good evening, everyone. Parsi welcomes you to yet another session of Friday Forum. A little something about Parsi before we start the main event. Parsi is a Government of India scheme to arrest the decline in population of the Parsi Zoroastrian community in India. It was developed by the Ministry of Minority Affairs and Parsi Foundation, and it has three components. It has medical assistance for assisted reproductive treatment, advocacy, and health of the community. From October 22nd, 2021, our third phase allows us not only to assist ART, that is assisted reproductive treatment in the medical component, but also helps in financial assistance for natural pregnancy for the second child. In the health of the community component, the financial assistance for childcare has been moved up from 4,000 per month to 8,000 per month per child up to the age of 18 years. In elderly dependents, the financial aid has been moved up to 10,000 per elderly dependent, and the spouse's parents are also taken into consideration, with geographical distances not being an issue. The database scheme which has started, we want every Parsi to stand up and be counted. You will find the database details on our website, www.geoparsi.org, on the right-hand corner. All one of you have to do is to press on that link and then submit after filling in the form. In case you do come across any difficulty, please feel free to contact any of the counselors mentioned in the website, and they'll be there waiting to assist you anytime. To move on, March 8th is Women's Day. Today, we have invited one woman who is a name to reckon with in the Bollywood industry as a stunt woman. Her journey of hardship and commitment is inspiring, and there is not one, but many lessons that can be drawn from her life. A woman of invincible strength and unwavering spirit. Sanober Pardiwalla is Bollywood's first successful stunt woman. She made us believe that a woman is not just capable of performing a job, but also more competent to excel in it. Sanober's accomplishments, in a true sense, demonstrate absolute perseverance, and she proves that even if the world tells you otherwise, you have the strength to survive, outgrow, and excel. And today she's performed thousands of life-threatening and nerve-wracking stunts in almost 194 films, live-action shows, and TV commercials. From an early childhood, she is trained in various fields of discipline needed to pursue her goal. At the age of 12, she was a gymnast, an excellent swimmer, and a black belt in karate. Along with other martial arts such as Muay Thai, boxing, kickboxing, Krav Maga, Jiu-Jitsu, with added knowledge of weapons such as rifle and pistol for sharp shooting, broadsword staff, whip chain, and samurai. A mixed martial art artist, skydiver, paraglider, advanced deep sea diver, cars and bike precision diver with high speed chases and Shamla, we cannot hear you properly. Shamla, you're muted. Shamla? So sorry. No, but everybody gets muted. I also get muted. I'm sorry about this. So let's welcome Sanober Pardiwalla, our speaker for this week's Women Day special. Welcome, Sanober. You need to unmute yourself, Sanober.
Thank you so much for this lovely introduction. Thank you.
Yeah, Sanober, to start off with, can we know a little bit about your childhood? Yes, you have done gymnastics and you are an excellent swimmer, but something more?
Well, my childhood, I guess, was most busiest childhood I would call, because in those days we had tuitions before school, we had school then post school we again had tuitions, and post tuitions I had my, we had one day karate and one day we had swimming. So, and then coming back, you had zero energy, so all you'd look for is food and then want to sleep. And that is how most of my childhood has been. And obviously also with I was very inspired by my soul grandfather, Danjisha Bharia. So he used to, he was an ex tail gunner in Royal Air Force, and then he was a mechanical engineer with Air India. So understanding fighter crafts, dog fights, and how the machineries worked, how from piston to jet engines came into play, and what defects did piston engines have and troubles that they came across. I know it all, and I've heard all of those war stories too. So I guess that is how I grew up.
Oh, okay. And what about your youth days and college years?
Sorry?
Was it your youth days and college years?
Well, as I was growing up, I got a wonderful opportunity to audition for Aishwarya Rai one day. And when I got that wonderful opportunity, I took it, and I had to perform a couple of somersaults falling from a great height. It was around 30 feet. And that was record breaking for me, because that day I realized I was good at what I was doing. Plus, I was paid for it. So, yes, that was a big motivation at the age of 12. And along with that, I also realized there are several factors that get into stunt. So I was a very observant student, you could call, and not just in my studies, but with anything that I did. And at that point in time, I could realize that how important a camera angle is, how important a focus puller is from the camera attendant team, and how important is lighting, because sometimes you can just do the take absolutely perfect, but you'd have to do a retake only because of these external factors. So I could understand that far more better, and why your hair should be covering your face, or how your hand is necessary to cover your face in that precise moment, so that it covers up for the actress. So I could understand those formats pretty well, and that is where I realized that hey, why not pursue it as my profession and take it ahead.
Okay, so was that the time when you decided to become a stunt woman?
Yes, absolutely. Day one of performing my stunts, I realized, yes, this is something that I definitely want to do, because A, it makes me money, and then B, I am good at doing it. So why not?
Oh, okay. And what was the first call? How did the first call to do this come up? The first time people called you to do this particular stunt, how did it come up?
It came out really well. It turned out to be really well. And there was, from that day onwards, there was no turning back. The initial movies that I did was Ram Gopal Varma, Bhoot, Veer Zara, Hero, Love Story of a Spy, Preeti Zinta, and Sunny Deol. So those were a couple of blockbusters at that era and at that age. And it turned out really very well. And since then onwards, there was no looking back.
Oh, nice. And what was the reaction of your family and friends when they learned about your decision to join Bollywood as a stunt woman?
Well, my family was a little reluctant in the beginning, because I guess with every parent who has their focus on, their child's safety, I guess so did my parents have. But I get over a period of time, when they realized I was good at it, my mother's only prime focus, even till date, is whether I am safe or not. And when she realized that I was taking safety features, and I was good at doing it also, and I could understand safety from a different perspective. From a very serious perspective, I took it, is where she started becoming okay with it. And yes, today I guess she is proud of me.
I'm sure she is. Of course she is. And can you explain the various stunts that you have performed, particularly the most dangerous stunt for which you got awarded?
Yes, so there is this one stunt in the movie Ravan, Mani Ratnam directed Ravan for Aishwarya Rai. I had performed the stunt where she jumps off a cliff. Now, to jump off a cliff was a 300 feet cliff, and that was, I guess, one of the most dangerous stunts in its own self, because in that sequence she commits suicide, but she survives. So jumping off 300 feet, she still survives, and the reason of her survival jumping off was because she falls through rocks, through trees, through branches, through rocks again, and that acts like a suspension for her. So because that acts as a suspension, this is how it saves her, and then ultimately she falls into the river. So yes, she's badly bruised but saved. And we did that in Athrapalli rainforest, and it was one of the most difficult things to shoot because again everything was wet in that rainforest.
Okay. So slippery and all. Yeah. Very. And what about the other stunts that you have performed?
I have performed several movies, name an action film, and I must have done. So it also becomes, it goes from fire stunts to water stunts to cars and bike stunts to underwater sequences. Underwaters are also one of the most riskiest stunts to be performed because a small margin of error can prove to be extremely fatal.
Oh, okay. Can anyone take this up as a full-time profession?
No, yes, you can take this up as a profession, but not as a full-time profession, because in today's world, you have to be a little practical and a little realistic in, when it comes to your profession. So stunts again is not a full-time 30-day a month thing. It's always project-wise. And apart from it being project-wise, you see, at the age of, let's say, 35 or at the age of 40, if you twist your ankle or you break your ankle, or let's say you get a simple ankle fracture, hairline fracture, you'll recover from it in the next 2 months or so. But post 2 months, you won't be able to jump from 3 feet.
Right, right.
So what do you do at that point in time and at that age? You can't just go back to college and then, probably take up another career. So yes, this profession is very good because it has its own risks and its own faults also. An alternate profession, if someone simultaneously goes along with it, is far more better comparatively to only relying on stunts full time.
Okay. So is it remuneration wise, is it good now as compared to what it was earlier?
Of course. For, earlier days, you see, as inflation has gone up, so are our fees gone up, and so is my professional fees. But yes, it is far more better than what it was back 20 years ago.
Oh, good, good. And it has been a very rewarding experience for you.
Yes, it is.
The entire thing. Okay. And amongst the Bollywood actresses, who would you say is the fittest of them all?
Fittest is a very, diplomatic question. I mean, I would say for them, because they are only fit for the particular project that they want to do. And then, at the end of the day, even they are humans and they also hog on food and other things. So fitness wise, I would say change the question. I like them all and I still want to work for them all. So I would just say change the question.
Okay. Till what age do you think that this profession can be done?
You can carry this profession out till any age you want, as long as you're fit, as long as you don't enjoy yourself, and as long as you're confident of what you're doing. And in this field, it's not only about confidence, but it is also about physics. You need to understand physics very importantly to not get hurt. I mean, I understand there is a good amount of adrenaline that pumps up, and there is a good amount of, the adrenaline factor wherein, you want to, let me just do this. Let's just do it in the heat of the moment. No. You need to be very calm, very mature with your thoughts, and you cannot react out of an adrenaline rush. You have to react with understanding physics, human body, your strength, your skills, and accordingly perform.
That's very important for people to know that this is not so easy. And a whole lot of other things are involved whilst doing a stunt. It's not merely jumping off cliffs or anything, but like you said, physics is very, very important. Yeah,
absolutely. So even when you're jumping off a cliff, physics comes into a huge play.
Absolutely. Yes, yes. And till what age do you think that this profession can be done by you?
By me, well, I think I am good to go on. I haven't given that direction a thought because this is something I really love and I'm very passionate about. And so as long as my body allows me, my mind and my body allows me, I guess, until then I'm going to carry on.
Having done that, can we also talk about a little more about the awards that you have received now?
Sure. I have received 2 Lifetime Achievement Awards, one at the age of 23 and one at the age of 26. So Lifetime Achievement Award is something which, you get after you excel in a particular field for over 10 years. And yes, that was one of the most best moments, I would say, of my life. One of the best moments, because I received that award with my principal, Mrs. Commissariat. So there were 10 people that night to receive the award, and all were above the age of 60, and I was the only youngest person. And that is exactly how, it felt. And it was my school principal who I really loved and cherished and admired the most. She was also one of our backbones in our growing up years. She supported us like anything, and to receive that award along with her, in fact, after her, on the same stage was, I think, one of the best moments of my life.
Oh, wow. And who would you say was your mentor?
My grandfather.
Your grandfather was your mentor?
My soul grandfather, yes. He was not blood related to me, but I guess we were soul related, and he lived with us. So, yes, I would say I think he was my biggest mental strength, emotional support, and my biggest mentor for everything. Like today also, if I'm stuck in life and if I'm confused about a particular situation, I would quietly sit down and visualize as to if I had to tell him this problem, what would be his output on it.
Oh, wow. Very nice. And what does the future hold for you? Will you teach or become a stunt director?
Well, that is again a long process, because going into stunt directing is a complete different field, because then you don't perform, then you direct.
Right. So there are more and more questions coming up, and one of them is, what is your training schedule?
Well, my training schedule is pretty it starts from morning. So from 10 to 1 in the morning are online sessions. I train people all across the world. So there are people, very old clients of mine who have been training since the longest time. Since I was 18, I had studied exercise physiology and nutrition. So I was training them for fitness, and I still do. So they are the ones who travel all across the world. And so from morning 10 to 1 is all, there are back-to-back online training, fitness training classes. From 1 to 5 is where I am also interior decorating. So I have also started my interior decorating side of it. So we are making homes and we are delivering homes with turnkey projects. So that's one. And then from 5, around 6:30 onwards, from 6:30 to 9:30 in the night, I have my physical training sessions where I train people.
Oh, wow, that's a busy schedule. And you have your hands full. Yes. Okay, tell me, how did you get the connection with your soul grandfather?
Well, he was my grandmother, my mom's best friend, and he decided to stay with our family the day I was born. And from that day onwards, there was no turning back. I technically grew up with him, grew in his arms. He would drop me to school. He would pick me up from school. We would share. I think he was my best friend. If you ask me, in my childhood, I only have two best friends. One is Dinah from my school, and second is my grandfather, I would say.
Oh, nice. And you spoke about being an interior decorator. This is a
Yes.
second profession, and how did you get into that? Because it's diametrically opposite to what you're doing.
Oh no, in fact, it is very much connected to what I'm doing.
Oh,
I'll tell you
lovely. Please
how.
tell us. Yes, please.
Because it's been 20 years in Bollywood, and being 20 years in Bollywood, it is not only about performing stunts, but it is also about understanding lighting, decor. You see, we make, so in our Bollywood, if there is a big, massive palace, it can be erected in 2 days.
Okay.
With the paint job done. And that was very fascinating for me because it could be so beautiful, so realistic, but at the same time, you can pull it down in another day. You see? So
Very
I would
interesting.
understand the structures, I would understand the materials, and because I am again having a very observant nature, so I would understand all those materials. I would understand why lighting works, what lights suit, and what lights become the way they become, and how you can change the lighting. If you just change a simple lighting in your house can either become absolutely lively, or it can become absolutely dull. So there are so many areas that I've learned over a period of time that got my interest into interior decorating. And yes, I've almost completed 10 different projects and turnkey projects, all turnkey projects. So that is where you start from civil to carpentry to the final finished product of the house. You can follow me on SD Architects. That is my profile for interior design decorating.
Okay. Great. We will put that up, and if anybody wants to contact you, they will do so. Okay.
Thank you.
Can you tell us which male actor have you worked with most?
The male actor I've worked with most, I think Hrithik Roshan. He is. I've done a lot of movies with him. Even Abhishek Bachchan. Name your favorite actor. Come on, I'm sure I've worked with him.
Okay, that's interesting. Yes. Any tips for children? Because nowadays children are so much involved in the media and technology that they not really go out and work out. So do you have any tips for them?
Yes. Just shut off the Wi-Fi in the house. I don't have the tips for the children, but I do have tips for mothers. It's a very simple process. Cut it off. And I guess when you do that, your kids will look outside the window as to what are the other possibilities, and they will try go in a beautiful, we have these bags and things like that. So our children will be like, oh, this place exists. Let's utilize it. So I think that is one simple solution.
Okay. All right. Tell us that your favorite movie that you think you want to replicate as a stunt woman.
Bang Bang.
Lovely. Okay.
That one movie was a remake of Tom Cruise and Cameron Diaz.
Yes, yes.
And in the Hindi version, it was Hrithik Roshan and Katrina Kaif. I performed the entire movie. I've done all the stunts for Bang Bang and in Bang Bang for Katrina. And I think, yes, if we had to go all over the madness, then it would be Bang Bang.
Okay. Very nice. And which was a dangerous situation which you managed to get out safely?
Well, we were shooting one day in the middle of the desert, and our stunt was to, go down from a helicopter, land onto a running truck. Now, this was in the middle of the highway where there were two high tension cables that were following on each side. So the tricky job of my pilot was to land me in between those high tension cables, keep the chopper steady with the moving truck in the forward direction. Because if he went left or right, I would bang with those cables. So yes, and then I had to dislock myself on the running truck. So several times we missed the truck because there was a lot of high tension turbulence that he was getting from those cables. So he had to lift me all the way up, more than around 200 feet, and I'm still hanging on the rope. And since it's a rappelling rope and the whole idea was to rappel down, there is no way to go up. There is nothing that can pull me back up in the chopper. So then the only way is he would land me on a sand dune somewhere deep, far, I had to take, and this is me wearing leather costume, leather jacket, everything of leather in 45 degrees of heat, carrying those ropes, and the pilot would then go land on the highway. And then me from that sand dune, somewhere like almost a kilometer away, I had to carry the whole thing because there is no one there. You're the only person there. Walk all the way till the chopper. Then catch your breath, re-rig the entire setup in the chopper, and then try redo it. So yeah, we still did it, and we successfully completed that shoot.
Oh, wow. Okay. There is one question here which says that do you think that they should start category to award stunt people in film fare?
Yes, they should. I also feel that they should. Like how Taurus abroad, if you see, there is this one award academy which is Taurus World Stunt Awards, and they have each category and awards for each category. So I guess there should be some form of, they do have an award system, and the award is it's only for the action director. It is never for the stunt artist.
Oh, so the main person who's doing the stunt is gone unnoticed or something like that?
Yes, it is absolutely. So nobody knows who did that stunt, but everyone knows who the action director was. But nobody understands that who is the actual stunt performer behind the stunt.
Right. And did you face any near to that kind of an situation?
Each stunt is a near to death situation. You have to have your reflexes really sharp, and you need to know what you're doing. Otherwise, it can just be very fatal.
So are you a part of a union?
Yes, of course. Movie Stunt Artists Association.
Oh, yeah. So all people who perform stunts are part of that particular association?
You have to be a part of the union and the film fraternity.
So that does protect you?
Yes, to some extent, it does.
Can you be a little more explicit? To what extent does it protect you?
Well, it protects you in terms wherein you get your payments. Your payments are not blocked by whether the movie releases or not. Your payment is released. You're paid on time. If there is in case of an injury, the first line of treatment is made sure that it is taken care by the producer of the film. So there are many benefits that it also comes with.
In your biography, you have said that you have trained in many arms like pistol and guns and all. So rifles and pistols. And have you used any of them? Have you used any of the training?
I am a sharpshooter, and I am trained in pistols and rifles. Apart from which, I am also trained with swords. I know a lot, two different kinds of swords. One is getting into it. I also know Kung Fu. So where I learned Kung Fu was in China. I took the 1 month training wherein it was, I think, one of the toughest trainings in the world. And to endure it for a month is in itself, I think, an award to yourself. So yes.
All right. We know of stunt women, we know of stunt men, and they work for the actors and the actresses. Do children have doubles also in the movies? The children,
yes, they do. But action-oriented roles with children are very rare. They are not too many, and they are very rare. So yeah.
Yeah, you see a child being thrown off a cliff, or you see a child falling down from a terrace or whatever. So those need a double, is it? Those doubles are there.
Yes, those doubles are there, but very rare. And such scenes are, with children, no producer or director would choose to take such kind of a risk. So in most of the times, it is always the dummy that is used. So it's like a dummy doll, which is worn, and for that fall sequence, this is how it is, shown.
Okay. Have you taken part in Fear Factor?
No.
Any reason, any particular reason why?
They haven't approached me, I suppose.
Okay.
And
Um,
honestly, to take part in Fear Factor, you need to have fear of a particular object or a particular thing.
point.
Honestly,
Yes.
I really don't fear anything. So,
That's
and plus
great.
Fear Factor doesn't pay you. So I hope they don't hear this part of it.
Yeah,
So
that's
my
great.
inclination towards it is a little reduced.
Okay. Would you like to do some training for our community kids, the Parsi community?
Sure, I would love to teach them self-defense, very importantly, because this is one thing that each kid can use in its. I hope that no kid needs to use it, but it is always good to have a few tips and a few tricks in their pocket so that it boosts their self-confidence and their self-esteem also.
Absolutely. So yeah, that is very, very important.
Yes.
And has the use of artificial intelligence affected your stunts?
No, not really. In fact, if anything, it still needs us because yes, it can make you stand in Switzerland by sitting in Bombay in your own house. But at the same time, what do you do on the top of the mountain is something that you still have to do in the studio. So
Not digitally modified?
Mm, yes, it is kind of modified, but you still need a stunt artist to, even if you're, let's say, not standing on top of a mountain, you're standing in the studio and climbing the mountain, but you still need a human figure to climb the mountain, right?
Right.
So, I mean, yes, technology is there, but at the same time, it doesn't affect us so much.
Okay, that's nice to know. And somebody said you should go to India's Got Talent.
They have approached me 4 times. They expect me to do the most dangerous stunts for free, and I have refused.
For free?
Absolutely.
Oh, okay.
So it is. So they expect me to go through a tunnel with a fire, riding a bike and breaking glasses, and at the same time they don't want to pay me. So why would I do that for free?
Okay. And you are a very iconic woman. What is it that makes you what you are? You
Believe
are
in my own self. I believe in my own self. I do not look for validation externally. I believe in my own self, and I think that is what has got me to where I am,
uh-huh.
and to the level that I am doing.
And have you traveled a lot? You must have traveled a lot. So how much?
Yes, I think I've traveled across the globe. I've traveled, I've covered Asia, I've covered Europe, couple of parts of Europe. I've traveled almost, you can say, 35% of the globe.
It's like somebody said, more power to you. Do not be used, lady. Free for what you believe in only. You believe in only, you're good to go. That's nice.
Yes,
Do you pray for your stunts?
I do have a prayer routine, and no, I do not pray before my stunts because I prayer is a very definitive subject, and for me, each person has its own definition of prayers. And for me, my prayer at that particular point in time is me visualizing the entire stunt, focusing on the entire stunt, and yes, definitely a little bit of divine help can do no wrong, so I do ask for it at times. But yeah, a little prayer can't go wrong in doing any stunts, but sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. But visualization is my prayer before the stunt.
Okay. And we were just wanting to know what message do you have for the youth?
Well, for the youth is they need to understand that whatever they do, irrespective of whatever career choices they make, they need to first 100% be sure about it. Because when you don't believe in yourself and when you're not 100% sure about it, you cannot expect the world to be. So, you see, when you have doubts about your own self, you cannot expect your boss to trust you. You cannot expect people to have faith in you for your productivity and for your output, when you don't believe in yourself. So I guess this youth at this point in time, they need to just raise their self-esteem and, be a little more on the realistic notch rather than the adrenaline notch as to, why I love it or I'm doing it out of a jinx or out of a hunch. They need to now get out of that and, pick it from a different mature perspective, because that is how their life and everything else is to be shaped.
And yoga and meditation must be helping also.
Absolutely. So since I'm a fitness trainer, I personally also train my own self, and that involves a good amount of core body workouts, to yoga to Pilates. Each day there is a different form of workout that I do, and I still practice boxing, I still practice skates, I still practice a lot of different forms of workouts, and yes, yoga and meditation also really helps a lot in that.
Okay. So I mean, we have been seeing the last 2 years very, very bad with the pandemic and all. So can you please tell us what it was like during the COVID times? Was it any different?
Well, yes, life during COVID was, we just before one day, not even one day, just the day national lockdown was declared, I was shooting in Varanasi for Atrangi Re Sara Ali Khan.
Oh my God.
So the day we left from there, I'm telling my director that, don't you think Bombay is getting into lockdown and India is getting into lockdown and we shouldn't be boarding the flight? And he's like, no, don't worry. Like, okay, let's board the flight. We did board the flight. We did land in Varanasi. We did finish the shoot, not 100%, but we did finish what we could finish. And that same day, we had to come back to Bombay. So this was just before. Yeah. Shoot people. We know how to manage our ways in and around. So yes, we did manage, and we did fly back to Bombay, luckily on time before the national lockdown. And yes, lockdown was pretty difficult because it kind of, I had back-to-back online classes. Every of the people that I trained, even the physical trained people, we kind of, had to put everyone on online. So that was that. And then since I guess the biggest issue of India was we all didn't have servants. So we were all cooking, cleaning, and figuring out stuff. And then I help out a lot with my animal work also. And so we had a huge struggle in sourcing, our products, especially for the street animals, because my local feeders, they panicked, they started calling and crying, and I'm like, relax, we'll figure out, we'll, do some form of it. So yes, lockdown was like, I don't know where 2 years of my life went. I just don't know, because you're awake, you're working, you have still double the number of things to do within the same limited time, and then that's it. You're so exhausted that you're famished and you've slept off, and then again next day repeat.
Yes, everybody has the same experience, I suppose, of doing it, but not many people would have enjoyed that routine. I don't know.
Neither did I, but well, you have to take it with a pinch of salt, pound of positivity, and just stay good.
To keep yourself sane, very much so.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. You said you were very, very taken up with your school principal and very fond of her. So can you please tell us a little more about the confidence you got from your school principal?
She was a very strong woman, basically. I have never, my mom, in fact, I have got this confidence also from my mom, from my principal. These are the two very strong women that I had come across. So my principal was also very disciplined. She was very strict, but at the same time, she was extremely, soft at heart. She had a wonderful nature, and she was very kind. Though she was on face value the most strict person that I could ever come across, but somewhere deep down, she was also very approachable. So when you had an issue, she was this woman in that era when counseling was a taboo. You see, it was a big taboo. She was one woman who actually introduced counseling in our school. I still remember we were I think in the 6th grade when we had a school counselor, which today only American schools in India have this kind of a facility, and it is still not very open, you see. The subject is not very open. So I guess, I mean, she was way ahead of her time, although very stringent with her discipline routine, but she was psychologically, and she is very ahead of her time, because I can imagine 15 years back having a school counselor, in-hand school counselor. Imagine, think.
You're lucky.
So every time we had the best computers, like, we've seen zero from no computers, from Pentium 1 to Apple 12, you see. I've seen that entire era, and I've seen that entire, I've been growing up through that entire era. And she, at her age, I guess she was around 60 plus, and she at her age had so much of openness towards technology, towards youth. And I really loved the way she supported Parsi children. So even if you couldn't afford school lunch, or you could afford school lunch, there is no two way you have to eat the goddamn lunch. So you see, she has her own ways of supporting children, and not just Parsi students. I mean, yes, she had a soft corner, a very soft corner for Parsi students, but also for all the other students. So at that era, in that generation, I think she was way ahead with her mind, and her thought process was way ahead from that era. So I guess that was one good amount of strength, because it teaches you to be open. It shows and it teaches your mind. The most powerful person in your school is got a mind space which is extremely disciplined yet open. So think about it. And then obviously the confidence also comes from my mother. She is being one hell of a backbone for my family after my father passed away. And yeah, there is no turning back. The way she's held herself, the way she holds herself even today, and with grace and with dignity, with no matters what ups and downs in her life that she's gone through, it kind of buys you so much of courage that, sometimes when you're in problems, I just look back at their lives. I look back at, the ups and downs that they have gone through, and my problem seems just this much to me. So I guess, and they were two extremely strong people. So I guess nothing beats them.
Would you tell us the name of the school, please? Is it okay?
Yes, it's by RFD Pandey Girls High School, and my principal's name was Mrs. Silu Commissariat.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And considering all the experiences that you have in your life, how do you manage people of your age, as you seem very, very mature?
So, thank you. Well, I see people of my age again to be very immature. They are still living in a life. They've still not gotten out of college days, I guess. And that is what they really need to snap out and breathe and, smell the coffee. Because life, if you break down your age, and if you break down the number of years and your productive number of years where you can do your best and give your best output, is very rare. And I really feel that people need to snap out of it and smell the coffee sooner than later.
Thank you for that. And you love animals. You say you work with them. So can you tell us a little bit more about your animals?
Well, I have each area that I've been living in. I really, I connect with a lot of local feeders. Local feeders are people who actually, feed animals of the particular area on daily basis, twice a day. So in Valkeshwar, I have this wonderful man, Manoj. He feeds the local, cats and dogs. So I help him out, and he cannot, I cannot do that job as much as I want. I can't do it twice a day physically myself. So I have chosen to, support these local feeders. And because I know them and I've seen their work in odd hours also, in rainy days also, in COVID also, they have never stopped. they've never stopped. So I kind of, support them in terms of, helping the street animals for the food, for the shelter. We build a lot of, so those big cardboard boxes that you get, we kind of, just because it's India and it gets stolen away and it just lasts us for a few days, but we still try and build some shelter around it for those rainy days and rainy seasons. And I appeal people a lot on my social media. My Instagram has got some 3,000 plus followers. So I appeal a lot to people more for adoption rather than choosing breeds, because again, breeding is a very bad process, especially for dogs. And there are very unethical manners in which these breeders breed dogs, wherein we have so many lovely, extreme strong immunity dogs which are just on the street. So I think people's brand of adoption should be, adoption, and it can't be a breed. It has to be just the dog itself.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yes.
Or the cat. And if you ask me about my animals, well, here is one. If you see him right here, he is always with me in all my interviews and everything that I do. So he has to be there next to me. And this is, if you ask about emotional support, then well, here are the emotional supports.
You are blessed. Totally blessed.
The hidden emotional supporter, the silent supporters of life, these are these. So, well, he always has to be there. He always has to be in all my interviews and everything that I do. He's just there, silently sitting.
Very, very sweet. Like I told you earlier, you are an iconic. And we are so very glad to have you today, this Friday forum, with us on Women's Week. I mean, the kind of things you've done, and it's a real inspiration for people to try so many things. And one more thing that I wanted to ask you was, any message to all the women who are watching the show?
Well, stay strong in life. Things do happen. A lot of things happen. And in the midst of everything, just have faith in yourself. Believe in yourself and stay strong. Everything just in the end is going to turn out well. So believe in yourself, be realistic, and believe in yourself.
Thank you, Sanober. Thank you so much for all that you have said here. And if people want to get in touch with you, how do we get in touch with you? Do you have?
You can contact me on my social handles, on my website, through my social handle, that is Sanober Pardiwalla on Instagram, Sanober Pardiwalla on Facebook. You can also contact me on sanoberpardiwalla@yahoo.com. There are also on my website, sanoberpardiwalla.com.
Oh, great. So we will put that up, and don't be too surprised if you get a lot of people contacting you.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for coming here and making our evening such a wonderful experience. Thank you, Sanober. Thank you very much for this.
Thank you for having me on your show. Thank you.
Our pleasure, totally. Our pleasure. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for being with us this particular evening. See you again next week for yet another show of Geo Parsi Friday Forum. Bye-bye. Good night. Stay safe. Stay well.